first one focuses on synchronous teaching and the features that you would find useful in your live sessions. And in the second session, which is also in the first half, we will talk about a specific model of asynchronous learning and a flipped classroom model and related tools. So we'll get started. In this session, we will talk about some new features of the two video conference platforms that we all have been using, and some ways of engaging students effectively during online classes. Now, most of you are already familiar with the overall features, and therefore I would be very, very brief, and I'll focus only on some specific new features which you might find useful. And some of these topics have been covered in our last workshop. And as Dr. Shah said, the videos of these sessions are available on our workshop website. Meanwhile, I'm turning Q&A on the Meet platform. You're also welcome to share anything on chat. All right. So the first topic we talk about is Google Meet. Now, IIT Jodhpur has the Google Suite Enterprise Edition for all faculty members. And note that this is only for faculty members. That means these features are available only in a meeting that a faculty member creates from his or her own email ID. So in these meetings, you can have up to 250 participants. You can join these meetings directly if you have an IITJ account. And if you are joining from an outside IITJ email ID, you need to be admitted individually, unless you have been invited separately in the calendar event directly by the owner of the meeting. So when you are creating a meeting, you are the owner of that meeting. And there is one limitation in Google Meets, that you cannot have multiple owners or multiple hosts of a meeting. The person who creates that meeting, that person is the owner. You can transfer the ownership to someone else, but then again, there will only be one person as the owner at any given time. And with the recent updates in Google Meet in the last few months, we can now receive meeting data after each meeting via email. And this can serve as a record of all those who attended your class and also for how much duration. You also now have the raise hand option, which was originally not there in Meet. It was there in Webex, but not in Meet. And we would often add external like Chrome extensions or browser extensions to get this feature. Now it is there in Google Meet itself. And now what's great about these features and how you can use this to help students and make most out of it is what we'll discuss very briefly. Let me show you a demo. So this is the closed caption option. This is the raise hand option, which is there. This is how you can change layout. So in layout also, there are options like auto is when it is default. But suppose you want to focus only on the speaker and the slides being shared, then you can use the spotlight option. In sidebar, you would have the main presentation or the active speaker on the screen and all the other participants on the side. Currently, in the tiled view, Google Meet now supports up to 49 people. Earlier, this was just 16 people. So now if you have a small class of say 40, 45 students, you can actually view all of them together on screen. There still are some extensions that you can make use of to increase this number to infinity, but 49 as of now internally is quite a good number. Unless you want to take like a group photograph in a class, you don't need those external extensions at present. Then these are some new features like breakout rooms using a whiteboard, Q&A. So in Q&A, essentially, when you turn on Q&A, the student can ask a question, post a question here. And one advantage of this feature particularly is when you post a question, when a student posts a question, there is this option of upvoting, if you can see. So what this helps the instructor in is that many students who have this question can upvote. And this helps you as an instructor prioritize which questions you would want to take first, right? And in fact, in many of these classes, especially in UG classes, turning off the chat option sometimes is better, and turning on Q&A is better, because there are many students who would often feel inhibited in asking questions. They often feel, we've seen this in classes throughout, right? We have to encourage students to ask more and more questions. And they would often feel like, okay, their question is probably too silly to ask and they won't. But when they see others upvoting their question, it motivates them, it gives them a little bit of confidence, and then they continue to ask questions. So this upvote feature is something which I really like in this Q&A. And once you have answered a question for your own reference, you can actually mark a question as answered so that you don't get confused. So in many cases, this Q&A option is much better than the chat option, because most of these students have this practice of, say, if somebody asks a question on chat, and if say 10 other people have the same question, right? So what they'll do is they'll keep on writing +1, +1. So it's their way of upvoting it without having the upvote feature. And eventually when you actually reach the chat screen, the question has long gone. It has gone over, right? So in that sense, Q&A on Google Meet is really a very, very useful feature today in answering student questions. So once it is marked answered, you can move ahead. Then this poll option, this is just the regular polling option, nothing special there. You can post a question and put options and start a poll. You already know about this perhaps. The next thing I want to talk about is breakout rooms, right? So breakout rooms are very useful. These are also some recent features which have come just in the last few months on Google Meet. And what this allows us is to make small groups from the members who are in our main class and put them into small rooms, which are again like there's mini Google Meet rooms in themselves. And people can talk, they can share screen. It's exactly how the main call would work like, except that it's a sub meeting within a meeting. And what this can help is that, say, you create a breakout room. You can have up to 100 breakout rooms. This, however, can be created only by the owner of the meeting, and you can see that you can edit it. You can literally like click and drag members who are present in your meeting from one breakout room to another breakout room. You can set a timer, you can shuffle members, and then you can open the breakout rooms. Right? So once breakout rooms are open, it says on top, breakout rooms are in session. And as the owner, only the owner will actually see the option of join in each of these breakout rooms. Individual members, even if they are faculty members, other faculty members who have this enterprise Google Suite, they would not see this option. Only the owner would see this option, right? They would see the option of joining that one breakout room to which they have been assigned. So individually, the owner can join any breakout room. Once you join a breakout room, inside you would not see as the owner, you would not see the option of ask for help. You would only see leave, and you can actually go to any other breakout room or go back to the main call. However, if this was a participant, not the owner, they would see an option of ask for help somewhere on top here. That means that if there is a question they want to ask to the owner, they just need to click on ask for help, and wherever you are as the instructor, whether you're in the main call or you're in any other breakout room, you would get a message say breakout room 3 has asked for help. So these breakout rooms are very useful, especially when we are conducting online lab sessions, or say we are conducting such a discussion forum or discussion session where we give topics to students and we are making, say, a collaborative project, right? And we want to put them into small groups. So for such applications, these breakout rooms are very, very helpful. These features were there in Webex already, but have just been added on Meet recently.
Hi, Rajlakshmi.
Yes, Hardik.
I think this breakout room are also useful for interviews. Like, we can ask one specific students to go into the breakout room and we can conduct their interview, while all other participants are there in the main room.
Yes, that option is also useful. Yes, what we usually do for interviews is that we would often create a separate lobby meeting link, and we would assign, say, a TA to handle everyone there. All participants would join in that breakout in that meeting,
yes.
And then we would have a separate interview meeting link, so that
last time we also conducted the same way, but this time, we find this feature and I thought that that feature is useful.
Yes,
and then
yes,
we
definitely.
Interview with this feature.
Yes, definitely, it's very useful even for interviews. Great.
So, I had one question. So in this breakout room, can you make the teams and put it in the breakout room in some way?
Yes,
or
yes.
You have to do it on the fly.
No, yes, Professor Mukherjee. So I learned this too late. Just recently, I learned how to do this from the calendar itself, and I'll show you how to do that in just a while. Because doing it on the fly or during the session takes, like say you have 40 students and you want to make groups of 2 each, it takes at least 5 whole minutes. It's very time consuming. Yes. It is possible to do this from the calendar itself when we create the meeting, and I'll show it to you just in a little while. So this is where the owner, meaning the instructor, I'm always assuming that the owner is the instructor, but if you would like this feature, say in your lab, to be handled by a TA, for example, you want TAs to move around certain groups, right? So you have to manually assign them, or you have to manually tell them that, okay, now I'm assigning you to breakout room 2. All right, then they can come back to the main call. We say, okay, now I'm assigning you to breakout room 3. There are simultaneously 10 breakout rooms are asking for questions. Then you cannot go to all of them simultaneously. You assign few to a TAs and few you handle yourself. Then when you close all breakout rooms, you would get a notification, like people in the breakout room would get a notification that breakout rooms are closing and you have been asked to join the main call. Now, what to do when you are sharing certain screens, right? And say, for example, again, like taking the context of a hybrid classroom, for instance, where you have the instructor camera is there on one of the grids, on one of the screens. You have a presentation slide which is shared. Suppose you are also using a document camera which is there on a third screen. Suppose you were using a Blackboard and also juggling between, say, a presentation and Blackboard work. So there is a camera and there are slides both. How should a student know how to switch between these two? So suppose this is how you are sharing a screen, right? So you can always use the option of pin. So on every screen on Google Meet, you see a pin option. So you pin that particular window, make it that becomes full screen. You want to pin slides to full screen. You unpin everything and everything will go on to grid view. You can try this out right now also in this meeting, right? So this pinning feature together with the layout options can help students decide at any given time which window they want to view in full screen, which window they want to focus on. Because in a hybrid session, there would be multiple such parallel screens open, because you may be juggling between camera, document camera, presentation, or anything else. So for instance, say you will not be able to share multiple screens. So suppose your TA is sharing another screen which is about some animation or some simulation, right? So how students can switch between these two screens? It is simply using this pin option, pin and unpin. So going to settings, if you want to record your session, right? So often, as per the SOP of online teaching, we want to record all the sessions so that they are available to students for offline viewing. Typically, you will find that video setting by default may be set to 360p, right? But if you want to record in HD, so 360p recording will not be of any use for the students. It will be very blurred. So you can always set the sending settings. So among settings, there's a send resolution and a receive resolution. You can set the send resolution to 720 if you want to do recording in HD. Receive resolution can be anything. It can be auto, it can be just audio, 360p, doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about that. This is the resolution of what is being received, other people's camera and their resolution. Now, these are some other features like quick access. These are some important new features. And quick access, it says, when turned off, the host must join first. Only the people invited by the host can join without asking. People cannot join anonymously, and only hosts can dial out of a meeting. So these two, like the bottom two, are really not relevant for us within IITJ as such, but the first two are important. Like I said in the beginning, when you create a meeting on Google Meet on within using IITJ email ID, anybody from IITJ should be able to join, right? But that will be possible only if this is turned on. If you had turned this off and you created a meeting, even within IIT Jodhpur, as the host, you have to join first, and other people who you did not explicitly invite through the meeting or through the calendar, if they were not invited as guests, they would actually have to ask to join. And you would get a notification, so and so, even within IIT Jodhpur is asking to join, and then you can admit them in. So for very specific occasions, like say an interview or a very confidential meeting where you don't want anybody to just walk into your meeting, there you can turn this quick access off. However, for regular meeting for classes, it would be better if this is turned on. Right? Sharing screen, this can also be turned on or off as per your choice. At a given time on Google Meet, up to 9 people can share screens simultaneously. And this is to turn on or turn off the chat option. Again, whatever is good for you, whatever you find convenient for your class, you may accordingly turn this on or off. Like for example, in my class, I would often turn this off because then students start talking to each other in the chat instead of talking over WhatsApp, which they can do. And then it is like the literal definition of disturbing the class. They have some separate conversation going on in the middle of the class. So it is, in that sense, I find Q&A much more convenient and much more focused for dealing with question and answers rather than chat. But it's up to you. So these are some features. Let me go and show you how you can actually monitor student work in breakout rooms. So how do you actually make use of these breakout rooms for, say, conducting a lab session? So in this scene, you see that this is we have different breakout rooms of 4-5 students each. This is a lab of first year introduction to electrical engineering course. And you can see that there are multiple students who are in one breakout room. I am in one of these breakout rooms, and each of those students are sharing their own screen. Now, one more thing we can ask the students in such a case is that they should not share just one tab. They should share their entire screen, so that it should not happen that they've shared a tab and actually on the side they are doing something else. But if they share the entire screen, you can see everything that's going on. So if I want to see Ramanpreet's screen, I can pin that up and see what he's doing. If this is specifically useful if there are questions. So now I want to see Subankit's screen. If I want to now see what Joel is doing. Right? So this is also useful for the TAs within each breakout rooms to help out. Now, how to set breakout rooms from the calendar directly so that you do not have to waste time in the session creating that. So suppose you have a class at 12 o'clock, creating a event, let me call it course ABC, setting a Google Meet link here. And here you see an option of video call options, right? So this is where you go. Again, from here also you can turn on or off the quick access, but this is where you create breakout rooms. So right now, I haven't invited anybody to this meeting. That's why I see only myself. Again, I can create up to 100 rooms. Let me invite somebody. So let me add, say, Preeti and Ankita. So I save it. I'm not sending them the invitation. I don't want them to get this notification. And now I'll again go to edit, go to video call options. And now those guests will automatically appear in my breakout rooms. Now I can click and drag them and right. So now I have saved this breakout room, and for all subsequent meetings, it is going to be the same. Now for a particular class, we can disable the option of invite others because we don't want students to just add other students into your class, right? Whoever is enrolled in your class should be invited. Other people should not directly be invited, especially not from outside IITJ. So this option could be disabled, especially if you are scheduling a class. Guest list is fine. They can see who all are there in the class. So you save this option, you save this meeting, and you're done. Now, how to schedule classes using Google Meet, right? So we must have seen in the past 1 year, Google Classroom itself has this option of generating a meeting link, which you can generate. It will appear on the top of your dashboard. You can make it visible to student or hide it from student. But if you look at this link carefully, this is essentially a lookup link, right? It is a lookup link that appears. So what this means is that it does not have a specific meeting code, like the 7 or 9 letter code that we have. It does not have that. This is a lookup link in the sense that whoever will first click on this link, that person will become the owner of this meeting. That means if a student before your class, if a student clicked on this link first and joined the class before you, the student becomes the owner of that meeting, right? Because this is a classroom lookup link. It is not made through your calendar. And many of you may have faced this issue that when such a case happens, the recording that you save actually goes to the student's drive and student becomes the owner of that recording. You no longer have that control of the recording, right? And to avoid such a case, what we would recommend is that you disable this. You disable this from Google Classroom and instead set up a meeting directly on calendar. So again, going to the same event, and now we are going to schedule the class based on whenever your class is held. So it's the same thing. Instead of going to does not repeat, we go to custom. And suppose I have a class every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, same time. And so this repeats weekly. This is a recurring event. And when does it get over? It gets over, say you can set whatever is the last day of classes for a semester. You can set that day as the last day. And then so this is now a schedule. The meeting link is the same for all these sessions. And you can simply add guests here and you save it. Now, while you are saving it, you will actually see two options. This event or all events, you can choose the option of all events. If you're making any changes, that means you're making changes to all the events. All the events means Monday, Wednesday, Friday. These events, you're making a change not just to this particular one, but to all of them. So this would be a much reliable and safer way of scheduling classes. You hold the complete ownership of the meeting data, the recording and everything. And after the class is over, every day you will receive this. After every meeting, you will receive the meeting data, who all attended. You can even get the chat transcript and the recording link. And once you have the recording link, you are the owner. You can share it. You can just change the setting of that video to view all. Like everybody at IITJ can view this recording. Now, if you have students more than 250, then using Webex would be a much better option. Webex can support up to 1,000 students. And so in that case, we would say you use Webex, you log into Webex, set up the meeting topic as your course name, set up any simple meeting password. Should have at least 4 letters. Then the same way as how you did in Google Meet, set it up as a recurring event. Whenever your classes are there, you can add your students directly here from the Excel sheet of the role list. In audio options, please select the option of no tone for entry and exit. You must have noticed in many of our meetings, there's this continuously beep sound whenever everybody is entering or leaving the meeting. So if you set this up from the beginning in the meeting itself, that tone will not come, that beep sound will not come. You can also choose the option of allowing attendees to unmute themselves during meeting. If you disable this, nobody will be able to unmute themselves other than you, right? And if you want students to be able to unmute and ask questions, it's better to keep this checked. Then always mute attendees when they join the meeting so that even by mistake, nobody is not on mute when they join. Right? You can set the meeting agenda to whatever. And then there are these other settings like co-host. You choose the co-host and not by default, anybody else with IITJ email ID does not become the co-host. These settings are there. Then there are some other settings like excluding password and locking the meeting. Guests can join or whether they have to wait in a lobby until the host admits them or they can't join the meeting. When they should get what kind of a reminder they should get, when they should get this reminder. So this is regarding the list of attendees you added on Webex already. Okay. Then there are also these attendee privileges. So any attendee in your meeting, they can share content, they can view who all are there, they can chat with the host and participant and other participants.
Can I ask a naive question?
Yes, ma'am.
So when you are recording the lectures, how much
Yes.
space does that occupy in the computer? Meaning, is there a way which you can guide us as to how this should be adequately saved? Any
So when you're talking about, say, a Meet lecture,
yes,
recording directly on Meet. So
yes,
that Meet recording goes directly on the drive,
on
right?
the drive,
And
right? Okay,
we have unlimited space.
okay,
So actually, we haven't really worried about the space on drive yet, because all faculty IDs have virtually unlimited space as of now, as far as I understand.
okay.
So to have a good quality of that video, it is better to record in 720p. Otherwise, the students will not be able to understand anything or see anything when they revisit it.
So how do you retrieve that
You
recording?
can simply, it would appear in your calendar against the meeting.
Okay.
It will appear as an attachment to your meeting in calendar once the event is over. After you close the event, then that meeting, it takes a few minutes and it gets uploaded directly as an attachment on your calendar against that event. Then you can download it.
Okay.
You would also have a Meet folder on the drive somewhere where you will see Meet recordings, and all your meeting recordings would be there.
Okay. Thanks.
Right. Then some minor things, if you are conducting classes on Webex directly. So we all have used Webex a lot, and we know these things already, but just a few features which might be useful in class. So there is this option of reactions, like Facebook, like reaction emojis. If students don't want to chat or write anything, just want to give yes or no kind of answers. And then there is also this chat option and this Q&A, just like in Google Meet. Similarly, you can also have polls to keep things interactive. Now, one more thing I would like to share here is that there is this extension called Mute Tab extension, right? So normally on any browser, if you right click, you always see this option of mute site. You can mute a particular site, but that means that it mutes that entire site, meaning if you have, say, 2 Google Meet windows open or 2 or 3 YouTube windows open, if you mute a site, that means all YouTube has been muted. All 3 tabs of YouTube are muted. All 2 tabs of Google Meet are muted, right? But if you want to mute one particular tab, so for instance, use case could be, say, you are already in a meeting and there is another meeting which you need to start, right? But this meeting isn't over and you need to start the other meeting, but you don't want crosstalk between these 2 meetings. You can then use this Mute Tab extension, and with this, you can mute one particular tab. So you can have one tab of YouTube which is on mute, the others not on mute, or one particular Google Meet window on mute while the other one is still active. So this was about using the video conferencing. Whatever we have discussed till now is all about video conferencing platforms, especially Google Meet and Webex, and some specific new features of that. So I see one question. Are all breakout rooms recorded when recording is enabled? No, I don't think so. I haven't tried this. I haven't tried recording the breakout rooms, but I'll find this out, Dr. Pathak. I'll get back to you on this. So next we talk about, still in the context of synchronous teaching and live classes, we will talk about various tools that will be helpful. We've talked about the platform, but what tools can you use to teach, like pen tablets or pen displays or whiteboards, PDF annotator as a whiteboard, how you can use your mobile camera for live demonstrations, right? So normally, say you have a laptop in any live class and you have, say, a pen tablet on which you want to do digital board work. You want to write on this pen tablet. In such a case, it would be advisable to have an external monitor or an external screen connected to your laptop, such that all your lecture material, whatever you are writing, whatever you are presenting, means something which you need to look at continuously or refer to, is on the laptop, and the Meet window can be on the external monitor, right? So you can clearly distinguish between what you want to show, and if there are any questions popping up on the Meet window, if there are students asking questions, you can look at them simultaneously. You don't have to minimize any screen or switch between any tabs. So that is what I am also right now doing. I have the presentation on one screen and I have the Meet window on my laptop as of now. However, if you do that using a pen tablet, if you're using two monitors, there are some settings that you need to set for the pen tablet, because the mapping area, the area on which you write on a pen tablet, has to be mapped to one of those two screens, right? So whichever you are using for the lecture and for writing, we need to go to mapping and set the area to say monitor 1. This is monitor 1, this is monitor 2 in my case. So I've set the mapping to monitor 1. If, however, you're not using a pen tablet, so pen tablet does not have a display on top of it. However, a pen display is a graphics tablet which has a display on top, and while you write, you can see what you're writing. In such a case, such an external monitor may not be needed, because in such a case, your lecture material is actually there on the graphics tablet itself, and your Google Meet or your Webex window to address the queries can be on the laptop. So it is this graphics tablet itself that can serve as your second display. However, if you are, say, in a physical classroom and some of the students are joining on Google Meet or Webex, some of the students are there present in class, in such a case, that external monitor can be replaced with the projector. You can simply mirror your screen onto the projector. You can mirror the screen of the graphics tablet onto that projector so that everybody can see. And the Google Meet window is still there. In between, you can switch between the Meet window and the projector as well if there are somebody asking questions and you want the whole class to see them. Otherwise, they can still hear them asking questions. You can also make use of a document camera. If you don't like using a pen tablet or you don't feel comfortable using a pen tablet or a pen display, you can always use a document camera. This is simply a kind of a camera where you can place the document in below it. There would be a small lamp for illumination. There's a remote. There are also features to focus or to zoom in or pan. Right? These features can be enabled remotely. You just need to connect this. You can connect this actually directly to the projector. But in the context of a hybrid class, we would suggest you connect this to a laptop. And because that same feed has to go to the in-class audience as well as to the remote class audience. That's why it's better to connect this to a laptop. If you don't want to use a document camera either, and there are some very small demonstrations that you usually have in your class, maybe just a few minutes, you supplement your class with some small demonstrations of the concept right there. There you can even use your own mobile camera for doing this kind of a live demonstration. So there's this app called IP Webcam app, and how this can be done in details. This has already been covered in the previous workshop, and we have shared a video, and we have shared the video of that process also in the workshop website, and we'll share it with you again. So you are always welcome to visit this video and see how exactly this works. It is important to note here that the camera and your device, means your phone and your device, should be on the same network, right? And it eats up a lot of your battery, so it's better to put your phone on charge when you're using this. So you may visit the video and know the details. Next is whiteboards. Windows Ink Workspace is by default installed in, it can be taken from the Microsoft Store if you're using a Windows OS. So this whiteboard is already built. One good thing about this whiteboard is that it is an infinite whiteboard. That means you can zoom into a particular area. You can literally have one whiteboard for one particular course and just go on moving around and use that entire space. You may get lost at times, like what is shown on the right. This is how an MS whiteboard looks like. It's an infinite board. The second really useful kind of a whiteboard is PDF Annotator. This is my favorite at this point. This has all the features that you need. You can have images, you can write on a PDF, you can set your favorite colors on the side, inks, colors that you usually use, say pen or highlighter. Then you can just go on writing, you go on adding pages and just continue writing, and at the end of your session just save it as a PDF and you have your lecture notes saved. We have other options as well, like on Google Meet also you will see an option of a whiteboard. in the new tools. And when you click on whiteboarding in Google Meet, it takes you to a collaborative Jamboard. Right? Now, in Jamboard, however, it's not an infinite board, but you can still save files. You can download and save your files. You can go on adding screens to a Jamboard and save it. Right now, Jamboard has this one limitation that because it's collaborative, everybody can edit it, and you will not come to know who edited it. So in a class, you would want to know, right? If somebody's drawing on your class, who's doing that? I think that feature was going to be updated very soon. I'm not sure whether it has been updated yet or not. But it is also a very useful collaborative board from Google. Then there's another whiteboard called Canvas. You can also use OneNote. You can, if you're working on a tablet and you share your tablet screen, you can use Concepts, which is also an infinite board. So there are many, many such whiteboards. I'm just showing you a few of these options. Now, in a class, how can we make a presentation interactive? As in, we want to know whether students are actually absorbing what we are saying. This can be done not just in an online context, but also in a physical class. So you can think of these extensions like Slido and Peer Deck to be a software or virtual equivalent of a clicker. You must have seen clickers where questions pops up on the screen and you use a clicker to put ABCD options and the results eventually appear on the screen. This is a virtual version of such a clicker where you can install, you can add this extension to Google Slides, or you can also download it for PowerPoint. You have to create an account, and then all you have to do is in the middle of the class. So suppose you have Google Slides as your primary presentation. So when you use the Slido add-on, it will add some Slido slides on its own into your Google Slides, and those slides will have these interactive elements. You can ask the student, it will generate some unique meeting code, like 4-5 digit meeting code. So student can just go to slido.com, enter that 5 digit code, and then they can answer, and all these things will appear on the screen. So again, I'm not going into the details of this because we have covered this in the last workshop quite in details, and that video tutorial is also available on our workshop webpage. But I just wanted to just mention this once so that you're aware. Dr. Nirmalya Bachchan has a question. Do IITJ own PDF annotator? No. So PDF annotator does not have an institutional license as such. It is an individual license, and it costs about $70. And there is a trial version for 1 month, but PDF annotator costs $70, and those licenses can be purchased from ZPDA.
So just quick thing, there was an option for buying faculty, buying this for faculty users. So if you buy 10 licenses, there's some discount, etc. But anyway.
Yes. So because everybody may not want to use PDF annotator, this does not have a Mac compatibility. So if somebody is using Mac, they would want to go for some other platform, which is why we would not say purchase it in bulk. Because Microsoft Whiteboard is already a free whiteboard, right? Jamboard is already a free whiteboard. So so what I would suggest is everybody can try each of these things out, and whichever they like, they can use it. So if you really like PDF annotator, you could buy the license. Next is online lab. So Dr. Banerjee has written, you can use Foxit. It is free. Yeah, please try that out. So if you're conducting online lab, right, we can always explore a combination of simulators and other platforms. So I'm right now showing an example just of electrical engineering, for which we have online simulators like Falstad, where you can make circuits. And then you have Tinker. So this is Falstad, and this is a Microsoft Teams and board, and this is Tinkercad, where you can actually have a virtual breadboard and make connections. So for your respective courses, please explore such online simulators. One really good advantage of, for example, Tinkercad is that a faculty member can create a classroom on Tinkercad itself. So when students join that Tinkercad classroom, whatever project they are doing, the faculty member can directly Like you don't have to come to Google Meet and ask them to share their screen and see it. You can see it directly as a submission on the Tinkercad classroom. And you can then return it or give a grade if it's correct, or you can write a feedback and stuff like that. And Tinkercad is not just for circuits. It has other options like 3D modeling and stuff. The second option, again, this is again just an example, is to create a virtual reality walkthrough of your lab. So if your students have never visited campus till now in person ever, you can use the platform called Matterport or Material. Matterport is paid, Material is free. Material is very difficult to implement actually. Matterport is quite easy. And all you need is either a 360-degree camera, which we have already in campus. The institute has purchased 360-degree cameras, which you can always issue. And you can create like a virtual VR walkthrough for the students so that they feel connected and they feel at home already before they actually come to class. So this is just a way to increase their engagement. You can always insert hotspots and tell them what is what. So this was something that we created for, again, for the basic electrical course, Introduction to Electrical Engineering. Now, the next platform is from an immersive point of view, again, on a synchronous note, if we are talking about synchronous sessions, how to make that more immersive. We have two VR-based platforms. One is Frame VR and the second is Virbela. So Virbela is actually the main platform and Frame VR is a product from Virbela. Okay? So I will show you quickly a demonstration of Virbela. This is a software that you download and you install on your PC. You create your own avatar and then you can rent out certain spaces. So you have to pay a monthly rent, and you can create your own class or your own office space. So not by own, we say the templates are already there, but you can customize it. So I'll show you a demo. So this is something we created for Introduction to EE. You can have a large classroom and change it to lecture seating or conference seating. And if you see these blue lines around certain tables, wherever there is a blue line, it means that it's a private space. Meaning if two people enter this private space, they can talk to each other, but other people cannot hear them and they cannot hear what's happening outside. There is a limited number of concurrent users that can be here. And for 10 users, it costs about $100 and so on. So 20 users, $200 per month. So this is one such experiment that we did. You can sit. It's a full body avatar. You can zoom into any screen. You can actually interact with any of these screens. So these are real students who came and helped in this trial. I met them first time like this. It was really great to see them and to see them actually interact with each other. That was even better, how they were talking to each other. This is another space where they can sit and talk. They can walk around. There are multiple offices here. This particularly I liked from a lab point of view. They can just sit on these PCs and they can just project their own screen onto these PCs. So it's like they're doing their own work, sitting together. There is also a meeting room or a boardroom for large presentations or say BTP presentations or project presentations. So these are all real students from first year. There are also small offices which can be used like breakout rooms, 3D breakout rooms for doubt sessions or tutorials. Or you sit outside and just simply hang out. Students have actually come in here and celebrated birthdays as well, first year students. So this is a small virtual office which you can create. I have had students who have actually come in through this door and sat in these chairs and just chatted, just like how it would happen in a physical office during the last year. So students have actually found this really, really fun and interesting. But you need a good RAM and you need a good bandwidth if you want to move around. So the point here being that in that boardroom version that I showed, you can actually have a class in that room. You can convert that boardroom into a classroom seating. Also, everybody is facing towards the front, and you just share your screen on that slide. Sorry, you can share your slide on that screen and conduct a class there. So they will feel that they are seated. They can look around. They can walk around. So they're a little more aware of their surroundings. So this is Virbela. This is quite expensive, to be honest. $1,000 for 100 users per month, or if you have 10 users, it's $100. This is another platform called Frame VR. This is free. This is a product from Virbela. It also has all those same environments, and we have done a few experiments on this as well. We had one for our first year electrical engineering class. We have one which we use for orientation, during the orientation of new students, new PG students. And we also conducted our departmental farewell on this platform. So I'll show you a demo of this as well. So in this, you don't have a full body avatar. You have floating body avatars. You don't have legs, basically. You're not walking. You float around. But the environment and the functionality is exactly the same. Right? So this is an environment of Expo Hall for Introduction to EE. So you can have whiteboards. Now, since there are private spaces, and in each of these private spaces, you could put up a streaming screen. That means the student, like say a bunch of students want to come and have some discussion. They just enter this private space and share their screen and start the discussion. So this is also with first year students. So you can see some students roaming around. In fact, a lot of PG students are now visiting our frame. And we also had this World Creativity and Innovation Day, and we had this virtual exhibition, right? That was also on this platform. I'll show you another example of departmental farewell. So here, this is another interface, which is open air interface. And we took a 360-degree picture right outside our department. So this, the one you see is mechanical, and the other one, this is electrical engineering. So it gives the feeling like this open air theater is right outside the department. So we use this for our departmental farewell. So I'm going to share these links with you before the next session, so that you can actually enter these sessions and walk around. The navigation and movement is very simple, just like in Mario. So you use the WASD keys to move front and back, and the Q and E keys to turn left and right. You'll be able to figure that out. So if you have any questions at this point regarding these tools, Synchronous tools, you may please unmute, or you can write it in chat. Okay, so what I'll do is, at this point, I will share those links. Now, Frame VR right now is free, right? And you can have up to, I think, 25 people. But on special request, they can extend that limit to 40 people as of now. But they are going to have a paid version soon as well. So like I showed in the previous case, this open air version, right? So you can actually have all your students say, look at this scene. You can actually have all your students come in. They can take seat here, and your lecture screen can be projected over here. Right? So it will just be like a physical class. So this is a cheaper alternative to Virbela with the same kind of features and the same kind of environments available.